Hey, what's going on? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And coming up here on the State of the Saints podcast, the first day of Saints minicamp kicks off, and Cam Jordan shows up to camp looking like a golden lord. We'll get into that and more right here on the State of the Saints podcast. Let's go.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I got to say is, who that? Hey, what's going on? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And on this edition of the State of the Saints podcast, we're going to be talking about Saints minicamp has kicked off. And I know a lot of Saints fans are excited about that because a lot of Saints fans got a first-hand look at the brand new Orleans Saints for the 2025 season. There were a lot of storylines, a lot of things that we need to discuss, a lot of things I wouldn't think I would be discussing on this show, but here we are. But before we get started, before I get into my little spiel about what's going on in minicamp, I ask that you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, let everybody know that you enjoy the State of the Saints podcast. Got some church announcements that I want to say as people start to file in. Number one, I want to give a special shout out to my guy, John O'Barnes, and say congratulations to him and his wife on the birth of his son. And, just want to send congratulations his way. If you follow John O, you know that he loves to make people laugh. He's extremely entertaining. And I have grown to know him as a good friend. So just want to give him a special shout out to him and his family. And, we joked around about parenting and stuff like that through text messaging. But I know that he's going to be a great dad, man. I mean, just my greatest advice to you, if you're watching this, man, is just, just enjoy the experience. I guarantee you there are going to be things about yourself that you're going to learn, and also things about being a parent that you're going to learn, man. So salute to my guy. And also the month of June. The month of June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. 1 in 5 men will deal with some form of mental illness in the course of this year. And about 60% of men aren't going to get the proper treatment. They're probably going to try to tough it out, right? That's what they tell us as men, to tough it out, right? Suck it up. But there's nothing wrong with you trying to get the proper help for yourself to make sure that you are happy and healthy, man. So there's a couple websites that you can go to. Groupmenshealth.org is one, as well as mentherapy.org is another that you can actually take a part in. Look, man, everybody needs somebody to talk to. Everybody needs somebody to be a little bit of a sounding board. So make sure if you're dealing with the anxiety, depression, make sure that you're talking to people, man. Don't think that nobody cares, because I guarantee you they do. But let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk a little bit about Saints minicamp. The Saints have their first day of minicamp. Got some guys back, some really friendly faces. Tyron Mathieu, the hometown guy and seasoned veteran for the New Orleans Saints. He returns to camp. Low haircut, right? I mean, everybody just showing up, just with a complete change, right? Tyron Mathieu walking around here with a taper fade. You got Alvin Kamara, and nothing really changed about him. He comes back like he always do during mandatory minicamp. He practices mostly on his own. He trains on his own for the voluntary OTAs. There's nothing wrong with that. He's been doing that throughout his entire career. And Cam Jordan, man, Cam Jordan showing up with a different look, as we can see right here, man. Cam Jordan, this picture doesn't really show it, but Cam Jordan showed up to camp with some blonde hair, I guess, looking like a golden lord from Meteor Man. He said that the motivation from House Targaryen, House of Dragons, I should say, motivated him with the new look. Cam Jordan spoke to the media about this new look. I'll let y'all listen for yourself. This is from Sharif Iraq's Ishaq's Twitter page.
I thought I was going to cut it off. And then I was like, let's have some fun with it. So this is my version of fun. I wanted to be a Valerian. I was like Cordalis Valerian. I was like House of Dragons. Started watching that this last couple weeks. And I was like, you know what? This guy got something going on. Now, granted, I thought I was going to do the beard too. I didn't like the way the fumes was rising. You know what I'm saying? So I kept it exactly where I wanted to. I think I want to go lighter, but at the same time, no, I think this is me. We'll see how long it lasts. I'm not here for a touch up though. Like I'm not. You know how you have to do the roots, Sharif.
Man, I don't know, man. I think that it was only suffice that I bring this back for this moment.
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Hell to the no, hell to the no, to the no, no, no.
Yeah, man, that ain't it, bro. I don't know if it's the fact that it was the beard, and him not having a beard, but just the mustache. I don't know what was up with it, man. But look, shouts out to Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan, he never seems to amaze me. He always comes in every single year with some type of different style. He always comes through with some type of different look, man, for team picture day. And I don't expect for him to keep this all season. I just don't. I mean, we know about the beer baron mustache that he had that was curled up one year, the 2000 headband that he had on, we know that Cam Jordan just likes to play around with the team pictures, man. But I don't know, man. I mean, I get, look, this picture right here that I just put up, this picture here, I mean, this could be a poster, man. This could be a poster or something, but I don't know, man. Maybe it's the fact that he doesn't have a beard. He just has a mustache or something like that. But shouts out to him, man, willing to take risk when it comes to his hair, But all in all, man, that's not what we're here to talk about, mostly. We're here to talk about Saints minicamp, and the talk has been surrounding two quarterbacks, Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shough, which we have been talking about over the last couple of weeks. The quarterback battle continues to heat up. Both guys looked pretty impressive at practice. They both got opportunity to throw 7 passes, just like they have been over the last few practices, between 7 and 8 throws apiece. And Spencer Rattler, according to reports, went 7 of 7. Tyler Shough went 6 of 7. And I just went and put together some clips that I seen from social media from Sharif, as well as Matthew Paris. So collectively, I got these clips from them. So make sure you follow Matthew Paris and Sharif Ishaq on Twitter. These are their clips. I can just combine them together. But these are a few clips from first day of minicamp. This is the throw by Tyler Shough here. He tried to shuck it down the field, which was a good throw, man. The receiver just didn't come down with it. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Some Saints fans feel like the Saints maybe need to go in a different direction for receivers down the field. That's a catch right there to Rashid Shaheed from Tyler Shough there. And now we have Spencer Rattler here. He's look like he's making changes to the play. And this is what I noticed about Spencer Rattler. He's off that he's not really throwing off his back foot. He's make sure his foot is planted and he throws it down the field. Now, keep in mind, this is 7-on-7. They know they're not going to get hit. They got plenty of time to make decisions and make plays. This is another throw right here. This is for Tyler Shough. I mean, you got to work on that touch right there. Brandon Cooks couldn't get his feet down, but that still was a good throw. Really shows some zip here. And this is another throw. This pass from Tyler Shough completed to Rashid Shaheed. So we're seeing some good things right there, man. We're seeing some good throws by both quarterbacks. You know, Tyler Shough really showing his arm strength, showing that ability. I still feel like he may be like a tad of a hitch off. It seems like Spencer Rattler is making like really precise, you know, throws and also making quick decisions. But that's going to come with time with Spencer Rattler. With Tyler Shough. Spencer Rattler seems like, you know, things are starting to come together for him. But I think that both guys are really doing well, and that's what you want to hear. You want to know that this quarterback battle is indeed heating up, and you want to know that both guys are really giving it their all, because at the beginning of the season, when it all starts, whoever they decide is the starting quarterback, we know that the other guy has pushed them to the absolute limit, and they have earned that spot. So, you know, both guys seem like they're going to be working pretty hard, and they're taking it very, very serious. Spencer Rattler understands that Tyler Shough is there to be the starting quarterback, but he is not going to allow that to happen. And if he does, he's going to make sure that he leaves kicking and screaming. So that's the best case scenario for Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shough to continue to push one another. All right, so let's go ahead and read some of your comments here, and then we'll get into the press conference of Kellen Moore. We'll talk a little bit about that. I'll put that interview on the screen. We'll take a listen to that for a few minutes for those that may not have checked it out earlier today. Says, man, you got money, you can try any and everything. Yeah, pretty much, man. Nobody gonna question you if you got money, right? And also if you're an athlete, right? I mean, you can walk around with funny looking hair. Nobody gonna say absolutely anything about it. Let's see. I was like, WTF is wrong with Cam. Well, I guess he, like he said, he just tried something different. You know, I didn't really know what to make of it. I mean, I still don't. But you know, that's Cam Jordan. Y'all know I'm highly entertained, right? Well, look, you should be entertained, man. We have a lot of fun over here. TJ late for the service. Nah, that's okay, man. Look, you're here. You know, you're here now. That's the only thing that matters. You made it past, you know, around the time where, you know, we would call you. Well, we would call you an astronaut.
Shots out, shots out, shots out, shots out, shots out. To them after show boys. Shots out, shots out, shots out, shots out, shots out. To them after show boys. They be tweet and be post. They be tweet and be post. They be tweet. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweet and be post. They be tweet and be post. They be tweet. Yeah, them after show boys.
That's out to all after show boys, after show girls out there. Ones that are filing in. Late, but on time. All right, let's go ahead. It says, I love Cam, my favorite player, but the blind dreads is a no, a big no for me. Not only is it a no, Bishop Bowen.
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Hell to the no, hell to the no, to the no, no, no.
All right, man, y'all know we're going to use that, man, since we got my boy Bowinkle back. Y'all know we're going to be using that again. Let's see. Camelocks and the three bears. Oh, man, Camelocks and the three bears. Let's see. TJ, I like our new coaches and our team seems it's like the energy and fun is back. Well, that's good, man. You know, that's a plus. You know, that's a plus. Guys coming to camp feeling like their opinions matter, feeling like, you know, they're getting a proper rest. It seems like Kellen Moore is doing all the right things as of right now. He has the team, you know, in the right position. He has the team, like, you know, morale high. It seems like, you know, he's not really pushing guys. I said it last year. I just feel like Dennis Allen felt the heat. So he was really pushing the players. And yeah, I mean, I think he pushed them a little bit too hard, man. Wasn't really paying attention to their conditioning. And, you know, I can understand, you know, you're trying to save your job. You're fighting for your life, so to speak, your coaching life, your head coaching life, rather. I can understand that. But it seems like guys, it seems like they're more refreshed. I mean, when you're looking at the injury report, like you're not seeing too many guys. Most of the guys that you see on the injury report, you pretty much knew that they were on there, like Taysom Hill and Foster Moreau, guys like that. So, it's good to know that they're taking care of their bodies all the while putting in that work. So we'll see if all that pays off. Right now, it seems like, he's doing all the right things. What's up, TJ? It's your boy, Cannon, man. I'm in here. I'm an after show boy. Today. Well, I'm at the show boy. I like that right there today. But I feel something big is about to happen for the Who Dat Nation. Well, look, I hope that, I hope that something big does happen. I hope that they continue, to try to find ways to make this team better. Speaking of which, the Saints brought in to minicamp running back Cam Akers. If you remember Cam Akers, if you're from the Mississippi area, this guy is a Mississippi high school legend. The product of Clinton High School. Clinton is maybe around 20 miles away from Jackson, Mississippi. I know that area really well. And when I was in Mississippi during the time, I mean, everybody was talking about a young Cam Akers basically just going out there on Friday nights and just lighting it up for the Clinton High School Chiefs, man. I mean, this dude was an absolute beast. He goes to Florida State University. He becomes like a premier running back there. One thing that I have so much respect for Cam Akers in regards to his decision to go to Florida State. They were going through a coaching change, and everybody thought that maybe he transferred, but he ended up staying there the entire time and being that leader for the team. He ends up getting drafted by the Los Angeles Rams. Looked pretty solid, man. I can remember when the Rams went to the playoffs a couple of years ago. To me, that was probably his best game as a pro. It really seemed like the light was starting to come on, and he was ready to be that featured back for the Rams. But unfortunately, he suffered an Achilles injury, and he kind of bounced around the league since then. He went to the Vikings, went to the Texans, and now with the New Orleans Saints. I think that this guy has a lot of talent. I think his skill set definitely fits what the Saints actually needs. And if he can be healthy, man, he can push a lot of those guys in that running back room. So, I'm a little bit biased because I actually know this guy. My cousins, shouts out to my cousin Butter. I know he worked with him, and knows his family pretty well and worked with the kid, when he was, playing football out there in Mississippi. I mean, so I know that he's extremely proud of Cam Akers. He talks about him all the time. So, yeah, I'm a little biased, man. So I hope that he makes the team. And, I think that he can bring something to the table. I think the guy is extremely talented, man. I think that he will add something to the running back room if he can be healthy. Let's see. I see Tyron cut his joints off. Fresh cut, fresh year. Yeah, he said he tried to make himself look a little bit younger from what I seen in the interview. But, I mean, whatever you feel like is necessary, to make yourself feel good, man. Ain't nothing like a fresh haircut. Right? Ain't nothing like a fresh haircut. Now, Cam, I'm sorry, bro, that ain't it. But when you got a fresh haircut, man, you want everybody to see it, right? Go to that barbershop, they taper it up in the back, you know what I'm saying? Fresh line, you know what I'm saying? Might get some hair paint on some of y'all, you know what I'm saying, who lining way back there, looking like Sherman Hemsley around this thing, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know what it is, man, Some of y'all got that Sherman Hemsley, you know what I'm saying? Y'all need that extra hair paint. But all in all, you know what I'm saying? As long as your hair cut fresh, that's the most important thing, right? Nothing like a fresh haircut. Nothing like a fresh haircut. Says, I wouldn't start the rookie this year. We can utilize Spencer, grab another veteran quarterback like Winston soon. What do you think, TJ? Well, Jones, look, I'm glad that you mentioned that because I feel like that was something that was actually in the news, and then we'll get to Kellen Moore a little bit of his presser post minicamp practice number 1. But I know that Cam Jordan was on the K Adams up in Adams show, and he talked about the Saints possibly trying to make a trade to bring back Jameis Winston to New Orleans. Look, I ain't got any issue with that. There is a chance that Jameis Winston may end up, out there in free agency once again. I mean, you think about how Russell Wilson is looking. Like, shouts out to my guy, Coach G, covers the New York Giants, Sports Illustrated. Russell Wilson looking pretty doggone good, looking like he's turning back the clock. I mean, he is really spinning that rock, man. So it seems like he's extremely motivated. So the way that he's playing, no need for you to try to push Jackson Dart out there, but he is going to be the future of the New York Giants. And you also have fan favorite, pride of New Jersey, Tommy DeVito out there, who has been a quarterback in that system. And, I think that Brian Daboll and his coaching staff like Tommy DeVito. So, Jameis might be the odd man out in this situation. But all in all, I wouldn't mind that at all. But look, I'm just saying, if Tyler Shough goes out there and he continues to show what he's showing right now, he's going to end up being a starter. Like, there's no huge degree of separation from what I see, when it comes to the ability. I think that maybe Spencer Rattler is a little bit more quick to the draw than Tyler Shough is right now. It seems like Tyler Shough is still trying to understand the speed of it all. But, if he can actually kind of speed it up a little bit, I think that, the Saints would be comfortable with him being a starter, so, I mean, no, it's no disrespect, or it's not to downplay what Spencer Rattler is doing. I think that he's looking really good. And all the reporters that I've talked to and all the reporters that, that have been, writing has said that Spencer Rattler looks different and looks like night and day compared to how he was his rookie year. But, Tyler Shough, he got drafted in the second round for a reason. And if they're close, then the Saints, I think, are going to make him the starting quarterback. If it just maybe if it's maybe like, maybe Spencer is doing something that's probably an inch better or like a foot better than what he's doing, they're going to feel like he can be able to catch up with that probably midway through the season, or even, early in the season. TJ, ever noticed that every press conference that Kellen Moore says no medical issues, and I meant to say I'm not an after show boy. Yeah. Look, I noticed that. And, let's go ahead and listen in a little bit on some of the press conference from today with Kellen Moore. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. He spoke about 8 minutes. We'll let it ride for a little while, and then we'll just reach a stopping point where I feel like enough was said. All right, so let's check out the interview from practice, or post practice, from Saints head coach Kellen Moore.
Medically, we're clean. Nothing new to add. Everyone was here, and
notice what Cannon said. He said that no injuries to report right now. Pretty much the same old standard. That's what I said. It seems like they're doing the right things, and guys are rehabbing. They're not trying to push guys. They're having strong days of practice, but all the while, guys are being healthy.
Obviously, first good day of this mandatory minicamp, so it was really good.
How do you think the guys handled the heat today?
Yeah, the heat was a big part of this equation, and so obviously we got to stress ourselves in many different ways as you go through an off-season process, and so the heat was a big part of this. Obviously it's something that we'll use to our advantage. We'll use it a lot, and obviously in training camp we'll be spending a lot of days out here in this heat as well.
I mean, that heat is going to help with conditioning. I mean, anybody that's from New Orleans, that Louisiana heat is a different beast, man. That 100% humidity, and guys may be from areas that's hot. Like where I'm at right now in Myrtle Beach, like it's hot, but it's a different type of hot. I can remember going to Mardi Gras one year, and I had a couple of my homeboys that I went to college with, and it was their first time going to New Orleans. I'm talking about as soon as they got out the car, I mean, that heat brought them to their knees, man. So that New Orleans heat is a different beast.
Kellen, will we see more of this training camp situation of football, whether it's 7-on-7 or team, like down the distance?
Certainly, we've spent a lot of time through our OTA process of really the foundation of the schemes, the concepts, and now we're starting to introduce situational football through this mini camp. And so talking about what a second down is, second and long, second and short, what a third down is, when they can play fourth down football, and how we got to change according to that. And so we're introducing those phases, and then training camp will have a really heavy situational emphasis as we go.
Kellen, is energy a problem, or did you think energy was a problem just because of the heat today?
No, I think it was good. Guys are focused. Guys are going for it. I think that was the big thing was, this is going to test everyone. And so it was a good thing for us.
Yeah, I mean, so when you look at like what I was saying about the Heat, I mean, you have some guys that are familiar with it, like the guys who have been on the team, understand like how high they can get in New Orleans, but that, those young guys, those players that haven't been introduced to that Heat, it could affect them. And there were some reports about, maybe the energy was up and down throughout practice, but I can understand it's hot in New Orleans.
Probably your first taste of a midsummer. What'd you think about it?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
He ain't got to run.
I guess it's not the ideal situation to have quarterbacks who haven't started a game that their teams have won. But can you talk about the flip side of that, being an offensive guy who can mold young quarterbacks and fit your system to guys who maybe don't have to be retrained?
Yeah, we have a good group. I think these guys have done an awesome job through this whole offseason process. They're they all are on the younger side from an experience standpoint in this league, but they're hungry, they're ready. They're really, really smart football players. They understand it at a really high level. They have high capacity. They're throwing it well out here, and so I feel like they're doing everything we can ask for them.
We're happy to see.
What are your thoughts on Brian Brzee and what you've seen of him so far?
Done an excellent job out here. Obviously the defensive line, it's a challenge to, during this setting, just the way OTAs are organized. There's not as much run game and physicality, which will, allow him to shine as we get to training camp. He's done everything.
Yeah, look, man, when it comes to like, off-season activities, it's kind of hard to see what a defensive lineman can do because, they're not really putting hands. There's not too much contact. I mean, most of the time they putting hands on sleds. They're not really putting hands on one another. So I'm interested to see how Brian Brzee is going to be able to make that adjustment from the 4-3 defense, which I feel like is his wheelhouse, from that 3-4. So you'll probably find that out in training camp when the pads come on and guys start to kind of rev it up and you start seeing those one-on-one matchups, offensive line versus defensive line.
I think we've asked.
What y'all like about Cam Akers bringing him in?
Yeah, Cam's an experienced player. He's done a lot throughout this league. And, as you go through this, you're always trying to evaluate as many players as you possibly can. And so I felt like it was a great opportunity and really fired up that he was willing to come out here.
So Taysom Hill out here today. How do you feel like his process is going in terms of getting back on the field?
Yeah, Taysom's obviously done an excellent job. It's a challenging offseason for him just from a medical standpoint. And he's done everything you could possibly do just to put yourself in a good position to be successful moving forward. And so fired up to see him out here.
Do you consider?
So I'm glad that Ross, it sounds like that was Ross. Shouts out to Ross. It sounds like he asked a question about Taysom Hill, and I'm glad he did because I don't think too many people have been talking about Taysom Hill and how he fits in this offense. But I am alarmed by something that was said, and I'll wait to make my point about Taysom Hill, and I want y'all to hear what I'm talking about.
The possibility to see him on the field during training camp? Like, is that within a possible range?
I think that timeline's still pretty far away. We'll worry about that when it gets there. But he's been impressive through this whole process.
So that's what I'm talking about here. It seems like Taysom Hill, he showed up, to minicamp, and that's great. But it seems like he has a long way to go. I don't think we're going to see Taysom Hill for the first few months of the season. I think you probably see Taysom Hill, and it's probably a good thing. You probably see Taysom Hill like around, November or something like that, because, Taysom Hill, he always starts the season off strong. And then down the line, like towards the end of the season, that's when those big shots, fighting for those extra yards, all that stuff kind of starts weighing him down. So probably having Taysom Hill back around November and actually having a game plan. And, maybe the Saints are really be in a position where they can utilize the skill set of a Taysom Hill. I think that was going to be great. But, I don't think it's to a point where the New Orleans Saints just are in desperate need of Taysom Hill like they did like last season. Like Taysom Hill was the offense and when Clint Kubiak was the offensive coordinator. It seems like Kellen Moore is going to have a plan. And I think that Taysom Hill is going to be a little bit more lagniappe when it comes to this offense. But, he's going to mention this in the press conference as well.
Is this the first time you've gotten to spend extended time with him, or were you able to, talk on the phone with him a lot earlier in the offseason?
I'd say, yeah, we've talked throughout the offseason. I've known Taysom from afar for a little while, and so obviously think the world of him, think of him as a person and player. And, obviously now, a few of these guys who weren't here during the OTA process are here. And so we're spending a little bit more time with them. And so it's been good.
How important was it to have the fans out here to give them a first taste of this team? I know it was hot, it was a sellout, just to give them something new because it's all new to them.
The fan aspect of this is awesome. And it's really, really cool. It's impressive to see that, on a Tuesday in the middle of June that, we can reach capacity here and have a great turnout. And so it shows, how special this place is.
Yeah, it really shows how special it is. And it also shows you what happens when the New Orleans Saints aren't hiding out and trying to fly away or trying to keep the fans away when they know that the morale of, when it comes to the team is low and, what fans think about a coach is dictating their decisions to not have fans at practice. Like that's the difference. Kellen Moore is a fresh new face. He checks those boxes of what the modern day head coach in the NFL is. He's young, comes in fresh ideas, etc. So, there's no need to hide him, but they had plenty of reasons to hide Dennis Allen when he was on a hot seat last season.
Was Tyron limited at all today? We didn't see him out there.
No, we're good. We're good. No additional things.
Going back to Taysom, just from a play calling standpoint, how exciting is that? How do you look at him, from a what you can come up with kind of standpoint?
Yeah, Taysom's a special player in this league. He can do so many things. He's had a great history in this league of playing quarterback and his ability to throw the football and run it from that position, and then all the other unique things that he does around the league.
Thank you, Derek.
So, it stresses defense. It's really, really challenging. He's a big-time impact player in this league.
Do you see him maintaining that in your system?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the value of having guys like Alvin and Tyron here? Obviously, they don't need a lot of work, but their presence around the rest of the team.
I think one thing is obviously the concepts and the scheme that we're implementing, just some of the new stuff that's going on there. And then, the biggest thing is, young guys learn from the veterans. And so when you see those guys come out here and work their tails off and do everything you ask, those guys lead by examples, and it shows up throughout the entire team.
Yeah, having Tyron Mathieu and Alvin Kamara back, it is huge. It's not that big of a concern. I mentioned that Alvin, he practices and trains, during the OTAs when it's voluntary. He does it on his own. It also gives him an opportunity to be able to do some last minute traveling before you have to buckle down and really be dialed in. And a lot of the things that happen are mandatory. We know that Alvin always stays in shape. He has an insane workout regimen, but to have him out there with those young guys, it's the first time probably seeing him in person and being able to, feed off him and ask him questions. And I'm pretty sure there's a little bit of I know that guys, coming to the NFL, I'm here with you, but man, when you watch somebody that you probably, grew up seeing or idolizing or trying to mirror your game after and seeing them in person, I know it has to be like a little bit of an awe moment, but to have Alvin and Tyron back, Tyron in a secondary for those young guys, and also Alvin in that young running back group, I think that's a plus.
Yeah, just an experienced player in this league. He's done a nice job. Fortunate to have him come out here and compete, and so feel good about that.
Kellen, were you more impressed with quarterback taking the team down on a 14-play drive, you get a touchdown, or like 2 and 3 plays, bombs away, and you score it that way?
I know the 14 plays are harder. The 2 plays are fun. The 14 plays are harder, and that's when usually quarterbacks are tested. They've played a lot of situations out. They've been challenged by the defense. They've responded, and so usually, those 2 plays are really, really fun, and we all love those, and we'd love to get a bunch of those. But those 14 plays are when you're going to earn it the most.
A quick question about Kai back. Hoping you can answer it in the context of what's going on here now with Trevor.
Yeah.
What do you recall about recognizing that would be a good move for him? And can you think of other similar examples that influence that decision and is influencing your decision now?
Well, I'd say from an influence, obviously, our experience in Philadelphia, and that was really a happen chance. We had a guy out during OTAs, and Mekhi just hopped into guard, and it kind of looked good, and he kind of stuck with it and kept going, and then training camp it just kind of progressed. So it was kind of a unique circumstance, but certainly, the Saints have had a history of tackles that move into guard, either currently right as after they get drafted or later on in their career. And so we all have experiences that we can lean on. I think it suits Trevor really, really well. He's done an awesome job coming out here. I think the settings allowed him to focus on the fundamentals, build up his understanding, his anticipation of how to play that position. And so he'll play great.
Man, look, I've been saying this for the last 2 years that Trevor Penning should have been playing guard. I said this. I said he looked like a guard. I said he plays like a guard. People was telling me about his arm reach and his hands and his height and all this type of stuff. But if you look around the National Football League, teams are not so much concerned about those guard positions and guys being super tall, like 6'7", 6'8" anymore. And honestly, as crazy as this sound, Andres Pete was one of those guys that was mainly responsible for teams actually looking at big, physically imposing offensive linemen, moving to the inside because, he was effective at the guard position. Yes, he got beat at times, but he showed a lot of teams that you can actually use those large individuals, and push them to the inside. And we know that Trevor Penning is a mauler. He's a mauler, man. He be trying to push people, out, he giving people something extra. I just think that this is the right move for him. And credit to Kellen Moore, man. He's not trying to make something more than what he actually is. No pun intended here. Like, this is a guy that gives you those type of traits of a guard. Let's try to see what we can do as a guard. And this could be a decision that could save the career and maybe even get Trevor Penning a contract extension if he plays well enough at the guard position. And even if it doesn't, if the Saints say, you know what, he plays solid, but we still going to allow him to go out here, he probably get himself another payday, and the New Orleans Saints can go out here and get a replacement guard. So I just think that this is a way for you to keep your first-round draft pick from 2022 on the field, all the while giving him an opportunity to sink or swim, so to speak. This is a last chance for him. So if he does not pan out at the guard position, then guess what? He's probably going to be out there in free agency, and hopefully he can be able to land with another team.
I saw you talking for a while with Garrett Nussmeier. I'm guessing you've known him for a long time. Describe your relationship with him.
Yeah, I've known Garrett for a really long time now, going back to, I think my first year with Doug was 18. So been around Garrett. He was playing high school football in Texas back then. And so, our family's huge Garrett Nussmeier fans, and we're always rooting for him and, excited for his season coming up.
Do you follow him a little bit, like his career? Like, do you ever give him advice, those kind of things?
We've watched his whole career. We've seen it through Doug's nervousness on Saturday nights in team meetings and offensive meetings, and him sneaking a clip of his phone on his phone. So we've lived through Doug and watched all of his career. So it's been great.
So Garrett Nussmeier was at practice. For those that don't know, Garrett Nussmeier is starting quarterback of the LSU Tigers. And look, I understand that you have a lot of Saints fans out there that this is another one of their dreams, that Garrett Nussmeier, LSU Tiger, can end up being drafted by the Saints. But look, we don't know what Tyler Shough is going to be. People are just ready to kind of write this guy off. Look, I hope that the New Orleans Saints aren't even thinking about Garrett Nussmeier in 2026, because if they are, that just means that both Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shough were a disaster. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want the New Orleans Saints to have to go after a quarterback. I'm hoping that one of these guys end up panning out. You should want that. You should want both of these guys to be able to show you a little bit of something, because if this is one of those tough decisions, you can probably get some draft capital out of one of these guys. So, and that will probably set you up to actually have a premier player, a cornerstone player for the future. I mean, that's the best case scenario in this situation, that both guys, the light come on for them, and they make it so hard for the New Orleans Saints to make a decision who is going to start at the beginning of the season.
What was his best throw last year then?
Oh,
fourth down against Ole Miss, maybe?
That one was a good one. Yeah. Talk about anticipation and, trusting it and letting it rip. That was big time.
Is there anything that
you don't know what you're talking about?
Your quarterbacks maybe today or even recently that you would consider growth areas from when you first got an opportunity to see them?
I'd say the first 9 days were really about the scheme, just introducing the schemes and getting a feel for what the concepts are and how to go through those progressions. Today was really about understanding the situations and how we apply those schemes into those. And so we really hammered that with the QBs. They did an awesome job understanding what second and long feels like and how we play that situation versus how we play a third down. When we know we have fourth down in our pocket. And so they did an awesome job with that. I think that was a big thing for us as we go through this minicamp. All right. All good? Okay. Thank you. All right.
All right, so there you go. There you have it right there, Kellen Moore. But one thing I did enjoy about that Kellen Moore, press conference was his command of the press conference. I was a little bit concerned, man. Sometimes, those coaches sit up there and answer all them questions and stuff like that, man. I like towards the end, he was kind of like, okay, guys, wrap it up. And he took like one more question. Like normally, like when Sean Payton was, head coach or whatever like that, he'll take like two more questions, one more question, So I like the fact that Kellen Moore kind of took command of that, let people know like, man, okay, I'm gonna answer a few more questions, then we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. So those are the type of things, as you start to evolve, little things that I kind of noticed right there, man. That's taking initiative in little small spots. That stuff, that stuff matters, man. It really does. And shouts out to Doc 54 becoming a YouTube member. I really do appreciate that, man. Much love to you. Thank you so much. And if you are new to the channel, you just came across it, I ask that you become a member as well. Let's see. He was solid. Says he had a big right guard in Philly. Yeah, Mekhi Becton is who I believe Nick Underhill, I believe that was his voice, who asked him about Mekhi Becton and his decision of sliding him to the guard position, which honestly saved Mekhi Becton's career as well. TJ, it's good to see the guys having fun again. The last few years felt like it was depressing for them on the field. Yeah, I agree. I just think that it was just the fact that, like I said, I mean, this was Dennis Allen's final season. He knew that, man. He knew if the Saints didn't perform, he felt the heat. He understood what people thought about him. He understood, like, people felt like he shouldn't even have been there that season. He should have been fired at the, when the Saints end up losing to the Carolina Panthers. And I think Sam Darnold only had like 48 passing yards. He knew that. He knew it, man. And, he felt that heat. So, it's probably one of the main reasons why guys were kind of uptight, because they felt that pressure to be able to have to perform, not only to keep their job, but also Dennis Allen was trying to keep his. So, yeah. Cam Jordan out here looking like Lil Yachty. Coach ready to get out of that heat. Yeah, I mean, man, trying to walk off right here. He's not used to that. He from that Idaho area somewhere, up there, where it's cold all the time. It's country, but it's cold. This is why I love this team no matter what, and no questions asked. Yeah, man, look, I love the team too. It's good to see that they're out there, trying to battle. I'm not trying to see the New Orleans Saints just completely throw their hands up and surrender just because everybody just expect for them not to be good this season. I like the fact that how they're trying to bring guys in for a visit. I like how they're bringing in guys like Cam Akers. I like how they're looking around trying to find the best players available. I have no issue with that. Let's see. Kellen's competence thus far is refreshing, not to sound corny. Nah, I mean, that stuff matters. Ain't nothing corny about that. I get it. Like a guy who is showing that they can have the ability to be able to get the team where it needs to be, that is refreshing. Not looking at a team or looking at a coach that don't seem to know what they're doing or doesn't look like they know what they're doing, that doesn't give you that confidence that you need in order for you to be able to support that. And, he's doing all the right things right now. Now, you have to play the game. Got to play the game, folks. You got to play the games. But right now, it just seems like he's doing everything the right way. Do we need a veteran corner? I believe they do. And I don't think that the Saints are done in free agency. I don't. Daniel Henry Heat. We already have Isaac Adam. Yeah, I like Isaac Adam, but I mean, you don't just stop there. Let's see. I love my team all my life, and this year, thank God, Derek Carbage has retired for good. I hope that Tyler Shough going to be a real big as possible. Yeah, I hope that he is too. I hope that I hope that everything works out for him. I hope that he goes out there and he balls out. I'm not trying to see no other quarterback come through. If you're finding other quarterbacks to come through, that means that he ain't did his job. So there's that, right? So I don't want to see another quarterback have to come through here. But try to see. I'm gonna stroll back up a little bit. Feel free to put your comments down below. Shouts out to everybody that has hit that like button. If you enjoyed the State of the Saints podcast, please go ahead and hit that like button. We mentioned on the last episode the Saints brought in Gabe Davis for a visit. Don't know how that panned out. Maybe it was just the New Orleans Saints trying to kick the tires, trying to figure out what's going on with Gabe Davis. But to me, I still feel like they need that big physical wide receiver, that guy that has some size on him. As we seen on some of the footage, you got Rashid Shaheed, you got Olave, you got practice MVP Mason Tipton out there making plays. But all in all, man, I don't think the Saints got, much size on this team, man. So, I mean, you got guys like Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's about 6'2", 6'3". You got Bub Means. But, I still feel like, you need somebody else that comes in that can be, a veteran. Some people are saying Keenan Allen, he's still out there on the street. Maybe the Saints have probably kicked the tires, maybe bring him in at least both. Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley are very familiar with him during the time when they were with the Chargers. So that could be somebody that the Saints actually look into. Or maybe the Saints are just looking at practice and trying to give these guys on the team, these young veteran guys with a little bit of size, opportunity to be able to make the job theirs. But I don't feel like the Saints should be just complacent and just trying to hope and pray that these guys that they have already that are around 6'3", 6'2", 215, 220 work out. Like, it's rather you have it or you don't. You don't want to go into the season not sure about that position. You at least want to go with somebody that you know that you can actually count on. I mean, it would be an absolute disaster if that was the case, where you're just relying on guys and you're not very sold on them. Kellen Moore was already out in the community. Dennis Allen whenever. It's good to see new, fresh energy with the Saints. That's because they weren't going to send Dennis Allen out there in the community, because they know the community wanted his head on a silver platter. I mean, not that, anybody just wanted to do him bodily harm, but that's a figure of speech. The way that this team looked, the way that he was coaching this team, that's the reason why these, man, look, I believe when it comes to the NFL, they'll never tell you. Like, the organizations will never tell you what's really going on. You got to kind of read between the lines. And them running to the West Coast, talking about not having practice with fans and, and, oh, man, it's an accommodation thing. Like, give me a freaking break. The Dallas Cowboys practice in Oxnard, California every single freaking year. Every single year. And them Cowboy fans with their no Super Bowl winning sales, they no playoff NFC championship winning sales, be out there in full throat, ready to celebrate and root for them mediocre Cowboys in Oxnard, California. Oxnard, California is not in DeSoto. You know what I'm saying? It's not it's not in Addison. It's not in Carrollton. All right. It's not in Oak Cliff. All right. I mean, that's in California, in a completely different state. And those fans travel to go see them boys. So don't tell me that Saints fans were not going to travel to go see the Saints. I mean, they got some Saints fans out in California. I know that for a fact. I have several that check out this podcast, always talking about how they tapping in and, from California, all different parts of the West Coast. Cause, you feel me? They could have allowed some fans in that facility, but they didn't want those fans to be sitting up there booing Dennis Allen, bringing signs saying fire Dennis Allen. That's what this is all about. But once again, you got Kellen Moore, and nobody has no issue with Kellen Moore. People, as of right now, appreciate the hire, and they feel like, Kellen Moore can lead this team. The expectations are high, going forward, probably not this season, but, people feel like this guy can steer this team in the right direction. They got a little bit of faith in Kellen. So that's the reason why they're bringing him out. This is a way for, the Saints organization to try to basically extend the olive branch to the fans, for them basically out there, tucking away Dennis Allen, no head coaching tail. Yes, I just said that because y'all know the man can't coach. Y'all know the man can't lead men. He can coach some defense, but as a head coach, no, sir. I think this team probably have more talent than we know. I hate to sound repetitive, but the previous staff were just bad at everything, especially player development. I just think that staff was just uptight. That was a staff that understood if they didn't perform, something bad was going to happen. So it's kind of hard once everybody is basically against you. It's a me against the world type thing. And I just didn't like the vibes. Like, I don't know about you, but I just didn't like the vibe between team and city. It just seemed like it was a divide. You had the team feeling like they had something to prove to the city. It seemed like the city was just at arms with the team because of the way that they looked and how the team was just doubling down, tripling down on Dennis Allen as the coach. So I just think that, this right now is a little bit of the healing process between fan base and team. And it seems like the team is really trying to go out their way to try to win back the fan base. But the best way you can win that back is winning some football games. Cody, thank you very much for the 499. Says, TJ, do you think Drew Brees would have been willing to work under Dennis Allen?
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Hell to the no, hell to the no, to the no, no, no.
Like working at a job with bad management at DA the supervisor. Yeah. But in all seriousness, Cody, look, I don't feel like that's going to happen. I don't. Look, I wouldn't even want Drew around that stench of suck. I don't even want to call it mediocrity. It was below mediocrity. I mean, I wouldn't even want Drew Brees to have his hands on that. Look, I wouldn't want Drew Brees to look like the enemy, right? I just wouldn't. Like, it's a fine line between love and hate especially when it comes to football. Like, people, like, absolutely, I'm trying to think of a guy. There's an individual who, I'm trying to say maybe, I don't want to say Mike Dicker. I'm trying to think about a situation where a coach end up becoming beloved because of his work, and then all of a sudden, like, he goes into a manager capacity, and honestly, he just becomes like everybody's biggest enemy. I'm trying to think, y'all. If y'all got some examples of that, please let me know. But right now, man, my mind is blank. I can't think of an individual right now. But I'm pretty sure over the course of time, there was a player, a coach, or somebody that ended up joining the front office, and then all of a sudden, they just burned all their goodwill. And I wouldn't want that for no Drew Brees, right? I wouldn't want people to be like, man, I love Drew Brees, but he ain't dancing in the front office because the New Orleans Saints ain't put nothing competent around him. So I don't want Drew Brees nowhere around anything that has anything to do with Dennis Allen. Jim Haslett playing a hurt Aaron Brooks when we had a chance at making the playoffs. I wouldn't say that because, look, yes, like Jim Haslett was the first head coach to win a playoff game for the Saints. I was at that game. I tell everybody this. I was a 13-year-old kid at that game, but I don't think it was like to that point. I'm talking about somebody that was like revered, like really loved, like go down the street, like he ain't got to bring his wallet because everybody would be willing to give him a meal. And then all of a sudden, like he just basically just turns to everybody's biggest enemy. I'm trying to think real hard about somebody that may fit that description. But if somebody, if somebody can think of it, I mean, honestly, the closest person that comes to my mind is Dennis Allen. Like Dennis Allen, because the way that he coached defense, like he could have, like he could have, like, man, he was the toast of the town. Like when you think about what Rob Ryan was the defensive coordinator for the Saints, right? And you know, how much of a disarray the defense was. And then all of a sudden, Sean Payton brings in Dennis Allen as more of a consultant. And then after they let go of Rob Ryan, they bring in Dennis Allen. He becomes defensive coordinator and puts the Saints defense back on track. Like, if Dennis Allen would have remained the Saints defensive coordinator, and let's just say, for example, that he would have just been the defensive coordinator and didn't become the head coach, Dennis Allen would have been revered. They probably would have put Dennis Allen in the Ring of Honor. Like, if he would have retired or something like that, like, let's just say he stepped down or moved to another team after Sean Payton left, he would have been able to come back. He would have came back to a hero's welcome. He would have came back to a hero's welcome. But the worst thing he could have ever done was to become the head coach of this team. Like, all that goodwill, all those defensive years where the defense was one of the best at stopping a run, getting better at stopping a pass, top 5 in all type of statistical categories, all that stuff goes out the window because he puts his name on the dotted line as the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Now I did think about a person. I can think about Brett Favre. Brett Favre was probably somebody, but he wasn't in a managerial role. He was, you know, he just went to the enemy, right? He leaves the Packers. He goes to the Jets for 1 year, but then he signs with the Minnesota Vikings. So, yeah, a lot of people burned some jerseys that year. But, yeah, that's probably the only person I can just think of at this time. That's what Big Q called Dennis Allen, possum pussy. He called him possum pussy.
Shut up!
Shut up. Rest in peace to Little Richard, man. I just thought that soundbite was funny. Carol Smith, offensive coordinator, he had the Dome Patrol and he couldn't move the ball. Yeah, man. Look, that was pretty bad, man. You ain't lying about that. Can imagine if the Saints had a piece of an offense during that time, they could have went to the Super Bowl. Something nobody ever talks about with Dennis Allen was that he played favorites when it came to players, and more talented players didn't play. Look, I agree with that. And that was the issue in the locker room. You remember, like, there was dissension in the locker room because of that. I mean, I know several people have talked about that, have written about that. I know Nick Underhill has discussed that before. You know, that there was dissension inside of the locker room. Yeah, you know, because he was picking favorites. I mean, everybody know he was picking the side of one quarterback who we will not name here on the show, but y'all know who I'm talking about. He's no longer with the team, no longer is, you know, in New Orleans anymore. His name rhymes with Merrick Dar, you know. Yeah, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Can't hate him, but Morton Anderson joining the Falcons. I don't think look, Morton Anderson still is a legend, and people still love, cheer, and revere Morton Anderson to this day. But yeah, man, when you go to the Falcons, man, it's kind of hard for you to, you know, come back, right? I mean, it's gonna take some years, right? I mean, we're gonna give Joe Horn a pass because nobody really remember that. If a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around to hear it, doesn't make a sound. If Joe Horn signs with the Falcons and doesn't really make no plays, did it really happen? You know, so we'll let Joe pass. Captain Chipotle. Rattler. Call him Lemon. Yeah, man, look, I call him no more, all right, because he's no longer with the team. So we don't have to talk about him no more. I'm not going to waste my time. Good luck to that brother in all of his future endeavors. Tyler Shough, arm strength talent is going to be great for a rookie quarterback in week 1 with the quarterback starting TJ. Yeah, I mean, he is, you know, and he does have a really good arm strength. Matthew Paris, make sure you follow. He works, you know, with NOLA.com. You know, he's a sports writer. Follow him on X. He had a video up of, you know, Tyler Shough delivering a ball down the field. It wasn't a completion. But, you know, it really just showed his arm strength, his touch. I mean, it was about as accurate as can be. It just shows you that the New Orleans Saints may need to take a look at their down the field threat. I mean, maybe it was a guy who was a fourth or fifth string wide receiver just trying to make the team. But all in all, man, you got to make that play. I see Rattler beating him out. And I think Spencer Rattler is having an incredible camp. I think that he's making plays. He's really confident. He's showing like poise, showing touch, getting the ball out quick, making quick decisions. And you can tell like a quarterback from year 1 to year 2, you can just tell. And this is a guy who has played in his fair share of games. He's played in 6 games. Well, he played in 7 games, started 6. And, this is a guy that understands the speed of the game. And he's trying to become a starter, man. He's not going to just give Tyler Shough the job. And that I can appreciate. Because if you have a huge separation between quarterbacks, which it seems like Tyler Shough, Spencer Rattler are right there, and Jake Haener, poor guy, and Hunter Decker seem like they just nowhere near that. And that's a plus for Spencer Rattler. That at one time, him and Jake Haener were like neck and neck, and now all of a sudden, like you can't even tell the guys apart anymore because Spencer Rattler has just elevated his game. I think that's a testament to Spencer Rattler, and it's unfortunate for Jake Haener. Take a few more, then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. It says Bobby Hebert went to the Dirty Birds. Yeah, he did. But, that was during the time when the Saints didn't want to pay him. Tell me if you heard that before. I need a couple preseason games to name a starter at quarterback. I think that's what you need to do. I think at least 1 or 2 preseason games, you should be able to decide who the starter going to be. Between training camp reps, preseason reps, you should be able to figure out who is going to be your starting quarterback. If you're sitting in the terrace, our wide receiver is going to look like a sequin pieces. I don't think they're that small, man, but you need some guys that have some size on them. R-Truth advanced to Ryan Killings. Yeah. I made a video about that, man. The TJ Knows Wrestling podcast is up and running right now, man. Make sure that y'all check it out. I did a Raw review and a Money in the Bank pay-per-view review on that. So for those that like wrestling, like listening to professional wrestling talk, the TJ Knows Wrestling podcast is available. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that link in the description, in the comments. If you're into professional wrestling, man, there's a channel. Like we gonna be, man, we kicking this thing off, man. We talking Saints this season. We talking NFL. We talking professional wrestling, man. These are the channels that we're gonna be growing. So if you're into that type of stuff, like you don't have to join if you're not into that. And I understand, some people don't want to hear that stuff, but we do have a channel where we focus on professional wrestling. So I don't want to talk about it here, but you can check out my reactions and thoughts, and make sure that you subscribe, man, and hit that bell so when I go live, you'll be able to check it out. And I don't want to end on that. Says, what about when T.O. left Philly for Dallas? I think he kind of burned his bridge anyway. People were kind of tired of T.O. anyway, in Dallas. And I can relate. I know for a fact that's the truth because I lived in Dallas during that time. I know for a fact because I lived in Texas at that time when T.O. was there as the wide receiver. So, yeah, I can remember that. I can remember you had a lot of people upset about, T.O. and how much of a baby and a whiner he was. So, yeah, I can remember that. Shough went 11 of 16, and Rattler went 10 of 15. Well, look, I mean, I heard different reports. I heard when they had 7 throws, Spencer Rattler went 7 of 7. Shough went 6 of 7. I mean, I wouldn't put too much thought into like a 7-on-7. I mean, in reality, when it comes to the 7-on-7, like these guys ain't gonna get hit, so they got that in the back of their mind. I want to see when a pass come on and they have to make quick decisions. Like, of course, the quarterback is not going to get hit, but you have those phantom sacks. So let's see if they're going to be able to make those quick decisions. TJ, would Gabe Davis be a good weapon for the Saints? Oh, absolutely, man. I talked about that ad nauseum here on the show, man. I like Gabe Davis. I like what he brings to the table. He's not a guy that's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver for you. Maybe he will be. It depends on the circumstance. But to ask him to give you 25 to 35 receptions per year, maybe 500-600 yards, he can do that. And yeah, he'll be a great addition. I would love that. TJ, comment on Kellen Moore constant using his phrase through the process. Yeah, man. Yeah, he definitely needs to work on that. But he's a young coach, and this is the first time really talking to the media as consistently as he has, the most, more consistent. So, you got to be able to kind of find his groove. So I'm not going to, play a drinking game yet, but you can. And, I wouldn't advise that, because if you play in a drinking game and you're listening for Kellen Moore to say through the process or the process, you probably have to give your keys to a designated driver. But, let's give him a chance, man. It's funny that he says that a lot. He definitely says that a lot. That is definitely his safe word. Just like we got some things we got to clean up was Dennis Allen, Captain Cleanup, as we like to call him here on State of the Saints podcast. But we'll let him pass. But he definitely says process a lot. Yeah, on Gabe Davis, adding Davis would be huge for depth, height, and experience. Yep, and I don't think that you have to pay him a lot, because, like I mentioned, the Jacksonville Jaguars have to pay Gabe Davis $11.5 million this season. He signed a $24 million fully, well, not a $24 million fully guaranteed, but he's guaranteed $24 million, and he's supposed to get $11.5 million this season. So he got 11.5 last season. Now he gets 11.5 this season. So he's looking for like maybe a team-friendly deal where he can continue to play. So if the Saints sign him to a one-year deal, I think it'll help both parties. It will help him in case he wants to go out into free agency again. I mean, next year he'll just be only 27 years old, and the New Orleans Saints will get a player of need. So probably something they need to explore. It depends on like how healthy he actually is. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate your time. Much love to you. If you enjoyed the show, you enjoyed the content, please hit the like button. We're trying to grow as a channel, and we cannot grow if you don't hit the subscribe button and you don't hit the like button. You feel free to comment. Let me know what we're doing right over here, what we're doing wrong, what we need to implement. There's some things that we're going to be implementing on this show that, I've been getting feedback from fans like yourself. Feel free to put some comments down there. Some people feel like, we need to add more reaction videos, more thought videos. Like I'm open to making this the best podcast possible for everybody, anybody that wants to listen. So make sure that you hit that like button, man, so we can continue to grow and we can continue to improve the show. You can follow me on X at TJAYJones8. Check out Saints Talk with Timothy J. Jones every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Also, in the description is the link for the channel, The State of the NFL, that is going to be coming really, really soon. You do not want to miss it. If you want to hear more talk about the NFL as a whole, you want to hear about, different teams, different divisions. We're going to be talking on the State of the NFL. That is a new channel that is coming this season. And also the TJ Knows Wrestling podcast, once again, for all the wrestling fans out there. So this is something that's near and dear to me. Huge wrestling fan, always been a wrestling fan my entire life, and just thought that I would create a channel for that. So 3 channels right now, 4 if you count the Bleacher Report, but I'm not done talking yet. All right. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I got to say is, who dat?